All right, and we are live. What is up, everybody? Aaron the dog back with breakdown number 2 on the week. It is the LFA 146 betting breakdown show here, headlined by Marcio Barbosa versus Gabriel Santos, live from Sao Paulo, Brazil, this Friday on Fight Pass, 9 o'clock start time. This is LFA Brazil, so it's pretty much all Brazilians throughout the card. We've had a few of these before, so done pretty well. We will also have the UFC Fight Night 64 show, the Marina Rodriguez, Amanda Lemos card, being broken down with MMA wagers at around 3 o'clock. So just getting the first breakdown here. Thank you if you are with me, but we'll get right into it here. LFA 146. Let's do this. Starting in the 125 female flyweight division, we have a pretty good fight actually at flyweight between Luana Santos, Alexa Souza here, 3-1 versus 4-1. So kind of interesting. Luana Santos, in my opinion, taking on a more difficult opponent than Jenna Bishop got after their last fight, which was a pretty competitive one. But talk about Alexa Souza first, Brazil versus Brazil. Luana Santos, 22, Valexa, 25, 26 years old, 5'4", out of MSP. Won her last fight back in June of this year, so I do like that she's fought this year. It was with SFT, where she's had her last two fights, going 1-1 there, winning a decision and losing a decision, lost the decision to a 3-3 Leza Sirakira. Patricia Borges won by decision. Previous 3 wins were by finish over very low levels of competition. Went pro in 2018. Also has an amateur fight in kickboxing as well. She's shown that she's worked on her overall game, but obviously against Luana, she's going to be avoiding the ground at all costs here. Moise, good to see you, brother. Appreciate it. Luana Santos, a very good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner, still only 22 years old, born in April of 2000. 5'6", a little bit bigger for the flyweight division as well. Had a competitive fight with Jenna Bishop last time out, lost by split. Before that, went 3-0 with SFT, where she got 2 of her finishes with leg between the arm Kimura, which is a pretty beginning jiu-jitsu move, but on the level of competition she had been facing, it was working. So kind of says a little bit there about the level. But she did look good against Jenna Bishop, who is a legit jiu-jitsu practitioner herself and very well-rounded. So yeah, Luana Santos is the pick here. Pretty clear for me. Just much better jiu-jitsu. I do think that for Valeska, she'll have to keep it on the feet where she could be competitive, but I still think Luana takes this one, just improving much more. With this fight, we do have odds, so pulling those up now. The odds on Luana Santos are minus 300, plus 240 on the underdog Souza here. So, yeah, Santos should take this one. So I don't think minus 300 is terrible, all things considered. Next fight, very good fight at 125, Felipe dos Santos versus Hugo Piva. Really, really high quality flyweight fight, in my opinion. Really like the tape that I've seen on Hugo and Felipe. With Hugo Piva, I will be breaking him down first. Pequeño, 24 years old, 24 and 22 here, very young. Flyweights did weigh in for his last fight of a catchweight at 132, so I will be interested to see how he makes the weight. Still a young guy and still continuing to mature out of Gibby. Ty hasn't fought since October of last year, 10 straight wins, however, most of them being with Thunder fights. Had a very good, KO of the 5-2 Marcio Paisan. Was supposed to face Curtalo twice with CFFC, and both were canceled for different reasons. I believe it was a visa issue for Paiva. Other than that, KOs on his record, TKOs and ground and pound finishes for the most part. He gets in there, plants and throws. 3 first-round finishes. He does have a submission finish as well. But I do think that for the most part, he's going to look the pressure with his boxing and use the power. Felipe Dos Anjos, if you look up Felipe Daytona, his nickname, you're going to find much more of his fights. Kind of the case for a few of these guys. Shuta boxed Diego Lima, fought in May of this year, so has fought more recently. 22 years old, 5'7", very long and lengthy. For the division, he has been a little bit hittable, but has been able to survive that. Fight with Davi Souza was ended early due to a low blow, but otherwise looks to get the fights to the ground eventually, but he is willing to trade on the feet prior to that. I do think with Hugo here, it's pretty clear Dos Santos Felipe Daytona is going to be looking to get to the ground or use his leg kicks, use the distance here. I'm worried he stays in that distance a little bit too much and leaves himself open for a shot. I do like Hugo Piva in this spot. I think he could get a decision, but TKO I think is very in the cards as well for him. This is a good fight though. Minus 190 on Piva. Dos Santos coming back at the plus 160 mark. I do think he's live, but yeah, I like Piva. I'm not sure if I'm betting him at a nearly minus 2-1 mark though. So should be a good fight. Two very, very good young flyweights here. Interested to see how they look on the scales. Next fight at welterweight, Marcio Rocha, a guy who I like a lot from the Brazilian regional scene, I'll be honest, and Carlos Pretes, a really impressive Muay Thai practitioner and just a fun guy to overall watch. I think this is going to be a really fun fight. I think this could be a potential fight of the night. Honestly, Rocha is a dog, man. He's a dog. He's very slick. He's tricky. Yeah, 12-6-1, 29 years old, but he does have the hairline of a Damon Jackson, you could say. So looks a little bit older than he is, but still, 13 fights in his career out of Babunho, a gold team. Fun guy to watch, honestly. Hasn't fought since September of this year. He did get a guillotine choke there over a 7-2 Eduardo Terracino. It was supposed to fight Urian Carlos at Thunder Fights as well. That fight was canceled, unfortunately. He has a loss to Charles Oliveira, not that Charles Oliveira, but we will talk later about a guy who has a win over Charles Oliveira. So got to watch a lot of Charles Oliveira fight. It was a knockout 1 minute into the first round. And that is a little bit of my worry with Marcio, is that he just is willing to trade a little bit too much and get into these dog fights. Knocked out Andre Fisher, an 8-3 fighter, in the second round. So definitely has power himself. Also Claudio Ribeiro, not a bad fighter, but again, first round TKO, a first round TKO to Edson Camargo as well. And Eduardo Noves, a 6-5 fighter, knocked him out. So he's been knocked out 4 times since 2017. Carlos Pretes, very good Muay Thai fighter, good knees, good elbows, good power as well, throws a good overhand. I do think that, again, if Rocha can get this fight to the ground, Rocha can get this fight to the ground. He's tricky on the ground. He's long. He can snatch up submissions, but Carlo, 14-6, 29 years old as well. 6'3", 77-inch reach out of Valley Top Team, I should say. 4 straight wins in MMA, as well as a couple kickboxing fights as well that he's won, all coming by TKO or KO in the last 3, including a jab KO of Charles Oliveira. So he knocked him out in the first round as well. He had several first-round knockouts on his record over a decent level of competition. He's able to, for the most part, defend the submission since the early losses in his career. He did lose 3 times early on, including not to great competition, including to a 9-10 opponent by arm triangle, rear naked choke, heel hook. He's lost by. He's kind of, for the most part, to be finished. I think this is going to be a war. I do think that Rocha has to look to get this to the jiu-jitsu realm, and I really do think he can. I'm going to go with the upset here. I think Rocha does not get into that war and ends up getting this to the ground where he's going to have the success. And I'm going to say Marcio by submission here. In second or third round, I think this is going to be a war. Carlos Pretes is a 4-1 favorite. Very surprised at those odds, minus 400. Needless to say, I am going to take a shot on Rocha plus 300. He might get finished very early on, so my hedge would be Carlos by KO first round because I do think those are the likely outcomes, or submission for Rocha. So really excited to see this fight and quite surprised by those odds. So next fight here is at bantamweight. It's a fight that has been booked for a previous LFA Brazil show, so I'm really glad they rebooked this one. I've been waiting to see these two guys in there. Jean Matsumoto versus Inaldo Santos. This is a really interesting clash of styles here at bantamweight. Jean Matsumoto, more the technical striker, mixes it up on the feet, throws really good leg kicks, throws good to the body as well. Mixes up with the kicks and the punches. Decent takedown defense, but definitely I think where he can be a little more exploited. But long, good size for the division. Fought at 125 early on in his career as well. Has moved up to 135. I think the lack of weight cuts really helped him. Santos Cohiba, 26 years old, more the stocky of the two. Corinthians MMA. He's 5'4", walks forward, plants, and puts on forward pressure. Throws hooks, throws heavy shots. Looks to get the fight to the ground eventually as well. And impose his grappling, coming off a really good win over a very solid Nilton Gaibayo back in May. He was supposed to fight Juan Matsumoto in July. This fight's now been rebooked back to November. So these guys have been circling each other for a while. Santos is the less technical guy, but really can make this a dogfight. Matsumoto, 11-0, very impressive inside MMA. Good tactical striking, as I said. Coming off of an impressive win over Carlos Enrique da Cruz as well. So I believe that he was already signed on to another organization, which is why he had to pull out of their first booking, but looked really good there, was very tested in that fight overall. The Wanderlei Jr. fight was one that really impressed me. He really showed that level that he stepped up. He's got several finishes by submission as well, but I do think the Muay Thai is where he's stronger personally. I think it's going to be a great fight. I was excited about it the first time around. I'm still excited about it this time. I think both guys are really going to show a lot in this one. It's a tough one. I think it's much closer than the odds indicate. I would say dog or pass. Surprised to see Matsumoto at nearly a minus 300 favorite. He was actually minus 350 the first time this was matched up, so I'm not exactly surprised. But Inaldo's a dog, man. He's faced a good level of competition as well. I think at plus 220, I don't think it's a bad shot as well. So it is dog or pass for me. I think it most likely goes the distance, although I think Santos has some legit power. So I'll say Matsumoto by a decision's my official pick, but I'm not betting that nearly a 3-1 clip. I think those are off. Those odds are off. Next fight here, 155 co-main event, Felipe Douglas, Rango de Sa. Here, very good high quality 155 co-main here, so should be a good one. Felipe I'll talk about after Rango here. Rango making his second go around in the LFA, 11-2 overall, 26 years old for Anaconda, 5'8". So a little more of a stocky 155er coming off an armbar win of a Claudio Pretes. It's after he faced Ismael Bonfim in the LFA. Went to a decision in that fight. No shame at all there. We know how good the Bonfim brothers are. Ismael was actually an underdog versus Rango in this fight. I did have Ismael in on my picks as well. Very good level of opponent though. Prior to that, Ari Santos, a guy who's really been around. We've seen on a few guys' records as well. Had a slam win of him, and then a lot of KOs. I think he's came in much more known for his kickboxing, but has really well rounded himself out with the grappling as well. Much more confident in regards to that. Has lost by decision and has 2 losses as well. Felipe Douglas here is 20-5. Nickname is Bukau. 3 straight wins for the Valley Top Team representative. 2 of those coming by KO, including Alexandro in the 4th round of their title fight last time around. Really good fight there. So he is the SFT lightweight champion coming into this one. Last loss came with Titan to Rafael Alves in the second round by KO. We all know Alves is a beast. Also was knocked out by Carlos Silva, a 10-1 opponent back in 2017. And then the Elder Amarim fight went to a split decision, very close there, and submitted in his other loss and a Dr. Savage. So 4 of his 5 losses have come by finish. Definitely kill or be killed. He's the longer guy here at 5'10". Is going to look to, I think, fight this much more in distance. I do think these guys could very well end up trading for a lot of this fight. Would not surprise me if Desa is the one to resort to the grappling. But yeah, I think it's going to be a really good fight. I like that Felipe has the championship experience coming into this one. This is a really close fight. Again, I'm going to edge towards the newcomer Bacall in this one, and Felipe Douglas. He is the slight underdog, pretty much a pick on minus 110 to minus 120 currently. It's a close fight. It's going to go to the distance most likely. I think these guys match up really well skill-wise. Excited to see how Felipe looks in his debut. We're on to the main event. So 7-fight main card here. Prelims will be on YouTube now. Fight Pass has a YouTube channel, which has been really nice. They've gone off Facebook, so that's good. So I believe the prelims will probably start around 7 o'clock. But Marcio Barbosa taking on Gabriel Santos. Gabriel Santos, another guy with a nickname you're going to look up to find a lot of his fight tape. If you look up Gabriel Santos, good luck. You're probably not going to find a lot. But if you look up Gabriel Mosquito, you're going to find a lot of his tape, as well as with Marcio. If you look up Marcio Ticoto, you'll find a lot of his tape. So Marcio Barbosa, kind of tough to find tape on as well. But 8-0, Gabriel Mosquito Santos here, 25 years old. Last fought last September, so it's been a while. 8 straight wins, though, through the early part of his career, coming off a decision win last year to Elvis Silva. The only fight I was able to find was the Elvis Brenner fight, the fight before that at Future MMA 12. Actually, I was able to find the Silva fight as well. And yeah, he just keeps a very rock steady, good, wrestling pace in his fights, mixes it up well. You see a lot of rear naked chokes early on his resume. The last few decisions, just he got the takedowns going and kept with them. Good wrestler. Was able to go for 5 rounds in his last fight. It was a championship fight with Future, so I like to see that. Before that, fought a catchweight, but has made the weight no problem. Early rear naked chokes early on in his career, including over Lucas Padilla, a 10-1 opponent. It's tested himself well. Was supposed to come back earlier in March with Nassau, and that just ended up fizzling out. Marcio Ticoto Barbosa, really good specimen as well. 5'7", 3 straight wins coming into this, 13-1 overall. Only loss going to Luis Felipe. Was a really good fight that he was winning until the knockout. So, that bounced back from that with a win over Kyle Machado. Kyle Machado, a guy we just saw recently, knocked him out in a minute 34. He just came off of a huge win over Gabriel Silva in his last time around. 2 straight wins since that knockout to Barbosa. Really good win there. 6-0 and 6-2 finishes of his opponents after that. Ton of first-round finishes. In fact, all of his wins are in the first round. This guy comes out and puts you away. He's an absolute killer. I'm really excited to see him make his debut. I have high hopes for him. Mosquito, again, very good opponent himself. In 8-0, Barbosa's 13-1, so he has lost by KO. He is, very kill or be killed. But yeah, this is a great one. I'm not down to Koto, though. Barbosa is a guy who I've definitely had my eyes on. I think he deserves this main event for his debut. And it's a ton of pressure, but I'm going to take a shot at the slight dog here in Barbosa, plus 110. Give me that underdog. So really quick, I'm going to go through the card, quick picks, and then take off until about an hour from now when I'm on with MMA Wagers, and we cover the UFC show for this this weekend. Marina Rodriguez versus Amanda Lamoche. But we'll cover the 7 fights I covered top to bottom. We got Luana Santos. I got her by submission. Hugo Piva. I got by TKO. Mosira Roca. I got big upset here, plus 300 submission. Matsumoto versus Inaldo Santos. I have Jan Matsumoto slightly by decision, not betting it. Rango de Sa versus Felipe Douglas, another close one. I got Felipe Douglas, slight underdog. And then Marcio Barbosa versus Gabriel Santos. Give me Marcio Barbosa by KO, underdog in the LFA main event. We've hit the LFA Brazil main event underdog before in Junior Mello twice. Let's see if we can do it again. Moist, appreciate you being here. I will see you in about 45 minutes for the UFC breakdown show. So take care, everybody. Timestamps are going to be available after the show. Peace out.